Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday at 12 o'clock, so you know what that means. Welcome to Planning with a Purpose. My name is Alyssa Lyon, and I am joined with Brown Mama's Muffy Mendoza. Muffy, what's good with you? What's going on?
Nothing much, just surviving in the Berg today, surviving.
Good. Well, let's tell the people what we got going on. So, Tuesdays at 12, coming to you on your live stream, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, whatever virtual thing that you get, wherever you get your information, your virtual platform where you get your information. Muffy and I will be talking about the city of Pittsburgh's comprehensive plan. And we are talking, it's going to be a little podcast series called Planning with a Purpose. We are going to come to you weekly to talk about the comprehensive plan, to answer any questions that you have. Hopefully in the future at Tuesdays at 12, we will have more guests to talk about topic areas, to talk about why it's important to be a part of the city of Pittsburgh's comprehensive plan. And so join us if you can. Muffy, tell us why we're here. What's up? Why are we planning with a purpose?
So early on in the comprehensive planning process, Alyssa and I, who are both a part of the community engagement team, were like, people need to know why we're doing this. Like they need to understand why comprehensive planning is even important, and they need to hear it from not just the people on the team, but from people all across our region, whether they be residents, whether they be political leaders, whether they be community activists, or just community members, people who are out in their communities throwing block parties, or hosting a healing gathering or a bike ride or something like that. Everybody needs to be a part of this process. So for me, y'all already know I work for the mamas, and I am a mama. And you already know, once you are a mama, whether it is you done had a baby, or whether you got a niece or nephew, or whether there is some kid across the street that keeps coming to your house for popsicles or ice cream or something, that's your kid for life, right? So for me, comprehensive planning really takes on a futuristic tone, because I'm thinking about my son, who is, at community college right now. He lives in this region, and he's like, I want to stay here, and I want to be able to have employment, and I want to be able to build a family. Like, anybody who knows me, if y'all know my oldest son, y'all know he is our lover boy. He wants to be married and have children by the time he's 29. I'm like, that's doing too much, but this is what he wants, and he wants to do it in Pittsburgh. And
Yes.
so I'm always thinking about, like, if I own a home here, I'm going to be back and forth in this city for the rest of my life. So I'm always just thinking about the future of the region. Like, is this sidewalk going to be cracked forever? Or will it get mended at some point? And how do we make that a more expeditious process? So that's the reason why Pittsburgh planning is so important to me. That's why I'm looking ahead to 2050 and not staying stagnant in 2025, because as we all know, with each day, it's something new. The future is here. The future is not something that is far off. It's tomorrow. So what about you, Alyssa? What are you
You
thinking?
know
Like, what's
what?
your plan for the purpose? What is your
You know,
purpose for the plan?
my purpose for the plan, I've been thinking about this a lot. And even as we've had workshops earlier this summer, we had the launch event in January. There's a summer of engagement right now. There are so many opportunities for you to get involved and provide your feedback on the City of Pittsburgh Comprehensive Plan through a myriad of ways. I think it's time we codify what Pittsburgh is about. We have 90 neighborhoods. We have so many different personalities. We have so many cultural beliefs, so many cultural values. How do we codify what's important to residents? How do we acknowledge the work that's already done? We have a lot of communities who've already done comprehensive plans, who've already sat down and talked about their values, what's important, what they need, and what they want to see in those communities. So how do we codify Pittsburgh's values so that the state of the nation at any given time, or whoever's in leadership and politics at any given time, doesn't constantly topple us over, but that we're rooted in our values and that we're rooted in what's important to the city. But I think the acknowledgement of so many beautiful aspects of Pittsburgh can come through this plan, acknowledging beautiful Black neighborhoods, acknowledging the need to be environmentally successful, acknowledging the past, acknowledging the harm that you have, that the city has caused and other policies have caused. This can be a real come to moment for us, not just for healing, but to talk about repair. And so I'm excited about the comprehensive plan. There are other comparable cities, there are other neighborhoods and areas that have comp plans. And so I think it's time for Pittsburgh to get on that futuristic train that you're talking about and head to the future. That might be what our visions are. But if you go to PGH2050.com, you will learn that this comprehensive plan, we are defining it as Pittsburgh will focus on racial, social equity, climate justice, and building a strong and sustainable economy. These pillars, that codification I was talking about, will ensure that the plan reflects the needs of overall residents, especially those who have been overlooked in the past. We hope that this plan will guide the city in creating safe, welcoming, thriving community for all residents. This is based on the ideas of fairness and caring for the environment. I know that we have a little bit of identity complex in Pittsburgh when we talk about for all and for whom. So, Muffy, when you hear for all, how do you make sure that your brown mamas feel like they're imparted in that all? I want to make sure that my environmental justice friends, my environmental justice advocates are included in that all, and they don't become those groups that have been marginalized and overlooked like they have in the past years. So, how do we get this for all to this plan? How do we do that?
You know what? I think this whole process of the summer of engagement, this whole process of going into communities and asking them to make the tough choices rather than leaving the tough choices to politicians is the opportunity for us to hijack the plan. Like I love a good people hijack. Like that is the best way to really understand what people need, for people to be brutally honest with their lawmakers, with their, community partners, to really take an opportunity to say, hey, these are the historical harms. So I think the chance for us to really be inclusive is right now, right? All of these things are happening. There are literally, I was counting them yesterday. There's like over 30 events happening across the city that are all marked summer of engagement events that are specifically so that community member in Hazelwood, community member in Homewood, community member in Sheridan has an opportunity to come and say, this is my voice within the plan. So the reality is that the plan can only be hijacked with the people, by the people, if the people are willing to hijack it, right?
Yeah.
And this is that opportunity. This comprehensive planning process is not like a one and done. We're going to be working on this well into next year. So there will be multiple touch points like tonight's public workshop where community members have the opportunity to come and hijack the plan.
Yes.
And that's what has to happen if we're going to be, at the end of the day, I'm a native to Pittsburgh. I grew up in Wilkinsburg. I grew up in Homewood. I grew up in the Hill District. I've grown up and been in all of the communities that, have made Pittsburgh the most beautiful and historical and juicy place that it is. And oftentimes we are not the ones that show up to these things. So I need y'all to come.
Yeah.
Like, I need y'all to be in the room, because like Alyssa said, nobody is going to address these historical harms if the people who the harms have been done to are not present in the room to say, that's me. Like, I'm that person. And this is the path forward that I see. We've talked a lot over the last few years about, narratives and the need to change the story arc of Pittsburgh, because that's really what's happening right now. This is an opportunity for the story arc of Pittsburgh not to be rooted in just steel, not to be rooted in just, certain neighborhoods, not to be rooted in just sports, but to actually be rooted in the real stories that are making history every day within our city. So what we need y'all to do is we need y'all to hijack the plan. We need you to actually show up and participate and be amongst the people who are making the tough choices, and come like me. I always tell people, like, I'm not the most politically involved person. I've really in the past seen politics as a space that was not for people like me. Because like I said, I'm a native to Pittsburgh. I grew up going to Pittsburgh public schools. I got kicked out of a whole bunch of Catholic schools first, but eventually I ended up in public schools with everybody else. And so, I'm a person who showed up to those meetings and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if I belong here. I don't know if I'm smart enough to be in these rooms. But the reality is, if you feel like you're not smart enough to be in the room, then go and make the room smart enough to educate you. That's something I had to start telling myself, like, okay, if I'm gonna go in these rooms and I don't feel like I'm smart enough, well, if y'all are so smart, then y'all should be able to get me up to speed.
Right.
And so come into the room, know that this is your city and this is really your plan. It's not our plan, right? So, Alyssa, I would love to know more about like what are your top priorities? Like if you could name your top 3 right now, like what are your like you're going into the room like guns blaze with these 3 topics?
That is a really good question. And as you can also learn more about more topics. We have outlined topics in our topic area book online that you can learn more about. As I take a look at some of our topic area books, we have things like energy and arts and culture, climate action. There's so many beautiful topic areas. I'm always going to be interested in environmental justice. I am an environmental justice wonk. Pittsburgh has a history of environmental degradation. We did not even, shout out to all of the folks in Clareton and in the county that's dealing with the effects of the coke works exploding last year. The county also has a climate action plan. So get engaged in that. There's plans galore, plans where people are trying to plan for the future where you're going to live. So environmental justice is the thing for me. Mobility, access to transit. Pennsylvania is being hit by a bunch of budget cuts this year. And so I getting around Pittsburgh is something I think is so inexplicably important. And for people to have access to jobs, to play, to live, to learn, to come see us, to come talk to us. Mobility and accessibility is important. And finally, I really do want to preserve the cultural relevancy of a lot of our neighborhoods. Homewood has beautiful history. Beltoover has beautiful history. Southside has beautiful history. Hell, Station Square has beautiful history. How do we make sure people see these things and see themselves in Pittsburgh? Not part of an old Pittsburgh, not part of a Pittsburgh that they only see themselves existing in back in the good old days when all the family lived in. I want you all to see yourself in a Pittsburgh that exists now, while also holding on to the beauty of the past and the beauty of the things that made Pittsburgh beautiful. But it's time to move forward. We have a lot of catching up to do. I think technology is taking us places that we won't understand. And so I think it's important that you come see us Tuesdays at 12, because Muffy and I will be the one to help break down the language barrier and say, hey, we heard something at the meeting that don't sound too good. Or to let you know, you can reach out to us. If you don't know anywhere else to go, if you feel like you don't want to go to the website, you can always find Muffy and I and ask us questions like, hey, I heard about the plan. Whatever your apprehensions are, whatever your fears are, whatever your excitements are, come find Muffy and I, and we will also be here every Tuesday at 12 to break down this plan with you, to have vulnerable conversations rooted in justice and in truth around how we want to see the future for 2050. Do you have any topics, Muffy? There are a lot of good topics here that I see. Brown Mamas can invade all of it, but is there anything specific that you like from our topic?
Like my main thing is housing, y'all. I'm just these housing conversations. If you're a part of the Pittsburgh Brown Mamas community, you know that we talk about housing every day, if not every other day. I was walking today down on the north side by the stadium, and 5 homeless people just, and it's like, how do you help when you know there is no house? Like there's nowhere for them to go. Other than giving food. I try to always keep an extra meal because I know if I see homeless people out, I want to be able to give them something. But this is, at this point, it's a systemic issue. And without help from the systems themselves, there's not a whole lot that everyday person can do outside of, if you got a place to live, making sure that the rent is affordable so that people can come and live in that place. So housing is definitely a big issue for me because we're just seeing homelessness affect people younger and younger and younger. I mean, this guy I seen earlier, one of the guys I seen earlier, this boy couldn't have been more than 24. I got a 23-year-old son. So housing and is really, really important to me. And like you said, transportation. Y'all know I live part-time in Tampa, no transportation. So I'm seeing what can put, when I say no transportation, there's no buses unless you go into city proper. I mean, if you're not close to downtown, there's no buses.
Miles and
miles. Seeing what happens to a city, what happens to its youthful population when there is no transportation to get them to and fro. And so that issue just recently, for real, since I moved down to Tampa, I'm like, Pittsburgh is bad, but it ain't that bad.
Right.
Like, it's not that bad, but this is what happens when policies that erode the needs of the working poor and middle class folks are continually allowed to perpetuate themselves over decades and decades and decades. And so transportation is supremely important, because without transportation, and with gentrification being as active as it is, the shorter those bus routes get, the harder it is for us to get the food, the harder it is for us to get the work, the far harder it is for us to get the connection. And Pittsburgh being a city that is so siloed in the way that it is, we already struggle with connection. So transportation is big for me. And then I would say probably my third issue, which I think we need to address more in the plan, is just health. Health, period, maternal health, reproductive rights. We all see what's happening in the reproductive rights community right now, and it's saddening, and it's going to get worse, especially under this current administration. Women, basically, we don't have control of our bodies. And so I would really like to see health in general, and then the environmental aspects. Like Alyssa was talking about that plant explosion, the first thing I thought about was air quality. And just how, okay, what's drifting downstream now? And how is Pittsburgh going to be affected by this blast? And are we talking about the diminishing air quality in the region? My middle son we moved to Tampa. My middle son has no allergies. He was here. We were here for mostly the whole month of June. As soon as we got here, his allergies just flared right back up.
Wow.
So we really need to talk about the quality of our air in this region. Soon as I come back here, my nose gets stuffy, and y'all know, if you follow me, you know I exercise all the time. I'm always exercising, and I'm always trying my best to eat right. So, but there's nothing we can do about that. Like, again, if we have systemic policies that are just not concerned about our quality of life, our well-being as humans, with the right to live on an earth that is clean, fresh fruit, clean water, clean air. Like, these are things that are important that we take it for granted because it's still livable, right? We can still walk, we can still go to work, we can still drop our kids off at daycare. But what about when it starts to prevent you from being able to do that? What about when the air is so dirty that you can't go outside, that you can't go take your grandmother a meal this week, that you can't walk down the street and pick your kids up from school? So again, we have to, as Pittsburghers, I know it is so easy to stay in the present, because Pittsburgh is really a city where you can come and be very comfortable at, right?
Yes.
But we have to start thinking about the future. And we can look to some of the states and cities around us to see both what happens when things are handled properly and what happens when things are not. And like I said, in Tampa, I'm seeing a lot. No infrastructure, no transportation. And I'm like, I don't ever want Pittsburgh to be a place like that. So just thinking about those things, are important to me.
I think that was so holistic, and I think we need to think about the whole. And I think there are a lot of silos in Pittsburgh, and we have to think about, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. Shout out everybody who's on the live, who's joined us, who's here. Really appreciate y'all. So what does this mean? We're not leading you into doom and gloom. We're not just going to talk to y'all for 20 minutes about doom and gloom. This means we need y'all to hijack the plan. Right. This means we have duality. This means we can take care of our neighborhoods and take care of our home and hold the institutions that are impediments to our success and to the neighborhood success accountable. So this is a both and. This is a duality conversation. Getting yourself out there, to getting your community out there, and also holding institutions responsible for the things that they're supposed to help us do to live happily, to thrive in Pittsburgh, and to thrive in the region. And so there's so many things. First of all, visit the PGH 2050 website, take the priority survey. Let's hijack this plan. Let's hijack this plan and come out to all the events. We have a bunch of state of summer of engagement opportunities. Please check out the calendar. But tonight is the State of a Just Pittsburgh public workshop. Please attend. It is open. It is down in Southside. That means it is mobile friendly. That means it's bike access. There's bus access. There's car access. So there's walkability. So get down there. Tonight's public workshop will be focused on the State of a Just Pittsburgh, where we'll be viewing our city's current conditions, our strengths and things that we need to celebrate, our most urgent challenges and risks, and most importantly, the forces driving change in Pittsburgh over the next 5 to 10 to 25 years. Are you a force that is driving the change in Pittsburgh? Are you a force that is driving? Are your connections, are your constituents, are your networks a force that is driving the change in Pittsburgh? Be the change that you want to see in the region. And the only way we do that is to tap into some of that ancestry and hijack this plan.
Nice. Love it. Love it.
And don't forget to join Muffy and I Planning with a Purpose podcast. We will be here every Tuesday at 12. We will be here faithfully. We are dedicated and we are committed to making sure that y'all know about this plan. And we are going to be here every week, holding y'all accountable, holding the city accountable, holding ourselves accountable to being a part of this plan. Muffy, I love collaborating with you.
Same.
So much.
Alyssa is the most sweetest person y'all ever. I be like, Alyssa keeps number one, she keeps us on task and she keeps us emotionally balanced because y'all know I have no emotional balance. My emotional balance is here and there and somewhere else the next day. So I appreciate you, girl.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Muffy. Thank you. Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next Tuesday at 12. Planning with a Purpose. Peace.
Y'all Tuesday at 12. Peace.